And one of the things that they use in psychology to help with mental health is called narrative storytelling. And it's these four polar opposites. You have to move from a toxic story to a redemption story, right? And sometimes that takes time. When we're in the toxicity, when we're in the ugliness of the moment, we just want to get out. We want to find the little piece of light. It might take years for us to understand the beauty and the lessons and the learning in it to get to the redemption piece of the arc. And that's why I say, if you're not okay, it's probably not the end. You haven't finished rewriting the story, right? Another facet of these polar opposites is episodic versus a full arc, right? And most of us think that we're in an episode that it is it. This is it. This piece is it. And what I taught my children growing up, I said, it's always your choice. It either defines you or you define it. And I prefer to define it. So let's give it a little space. Feel what you're feeling. Let's give it some space. And then let's see how this fits into the larger arc of our lives.
One of my favorite recordings since I started this series has come with today's guest. She's been a big supporter of the show. She's come on a few times, and now we have some latest things going on in her world. So be sure to catch up with her early episodes in the description. Tomi, it's great to see you, and welcome back to A Mental Health Break.
It's so awesome to always be here. I love what you're up to in the world, Vince, and anytime I get to share space with you, it's always exciting for me.
Yes, well, I'm excited to let the world know all the great things you have going on. And everyone, welcome back to A Mental Health Break. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and today, as I mentioned, we have the emotional intelligence expert on the show today. She has really dedicated her life to furthering and advancing this, and she's got some great offerings online, so be sure to stick around to the end of the episode. But again, follow her inspirational journey throughout the show, see her evolution, where she offers great mental health advice throughout each. Remember to subscribe to stay current. And with that, before we get to all the latest and greatest, in case someone's first time with you is today, please share what they need to know.
I am a researcher in emotional well-being. And what I've been doing is trying to tease out where does mental health, emotional health, and physical health come together. We're just not really clear on that in the world. And so that's the intersection I've been researching and coaching on and facilitating on for the last 6 years. And the latest research shows some really exciting things, and I'm excited to share those with you.
It's really important for us to stay up to date with something like this. Once you're in tune with your mental health, you know this is the sister to it, right? So we need to know. And as I've said, we live in this digital age with tons of information, but we need the correct and right information. And I feel very honored that she's partnered with the show by coming on again and again, because she has information we need, right? And we just tease these trends, right? So what are we seeing, Tomi?
Well, what's fascinating is what I've been doing a deep dive on is many of us have heard of the psychological shadow, but there's actually an emotional shadow. And it's really fascinating because it's one injury, but two shadows. And that one injury is always the same. It's emotional harm that causes a person to organize their identity around safety rather than inherent worth. And when we do that, it fragments the identity. And what we've been able to do is measure the difference between performance when someone is in what we call a normal stress environment, and then when there's some threat to emotional safety for them that triggers behavior, how does performance drop? And it's just really fascinating to see that we have two performance levels, when we're not stressed and when we are. And to be able to capture the difference between those has really been profound to be able to see that.
Well, say there's someone struggling with just that. They know they have these triggers, and even though they're aware of these triggers, they still let the moment get the best of them. I know you work with countless clients with this. What is some advice you can offer at, again, the surface level in the beginning?
Yeah, one of the first things I try to do is explain to the client why it's so hard, Vince. Because why can't I do this? Right? I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I got lots of willpower. Oh, friend, that has nothing to do with it. Right? And so what happens is these patterns are encoded into the body. I call it the emotional operating system that they're encoded into, and it's unconscious. And so they take over before we even realize what's happened. And so when we are trying to back it up, and that's what I tell my clients, you're seeing it here, but it's happening over here. And we're trying to back it up to get you to the point where you capture it over here. That means going from the conscious to the unconscious. And that is a mountain to climb.
And I love how you're simplifying it, right? In life, we're often, of course, go, go, go now more than ever since COVID, right? But we're not taking the time to get to the root of things. We all just want that quick fix, right? But hey, quick fixes, all these things don't last, right? It takes work. Nothing is an overnight fix. And in mental health, we all have different things that work for us, some that don't, some that trigger us, some that help us, right? Tommy, I know your evolution in mental health, you're always open and you're sharing it. What are some things now that have been helping you as we're recording this here, beginning of the second quarter? What are some tips and tricks that are working to help you stay afloat?
I have honed self care, right? And most of us are really bad at it. And I don't mean that as a judgment. It's
I know,
just
yeah.
we give ourselves to so many others that we don't really leave room for the self. And so for me, I've really honed a couple of things about self care. One of them is I try to every night soak for at least 10 minutes in a hot tub of Epsom and lavender, right? And that really just allows the pressure cooker to come way down. And the second thing I do every night, and I learned this from my granddaughter. Piper was not quite 2 at the time, and her parents lived in Maryland, and they needed to go to Florida to find a house to live because they were moving. And Piper had never stayed with anybody else. My privilege, right? To
Yeah.
babysit her the first time. Probably also my night terrors to babysit her for the first time, right? And she's in full-blown meltdown. Where's daddy? Where's mom? Where's daddy? Where's mommy? And she just in a meltdown and she won't let me near her. And so I get far enough away from her so that I'm not agitating her. And I say, Piper, you need to know grandma's right here. I love you. I'm not going anywhere. And when you're ready, I'm right here. And then I watched her stiffen and release, stiffen. And I mean, her whole body stiff as a board. And I thought, there's something really beautiful about that 2-year-old system doing that, isn't it? And so after I finally got her calmed down, got her in bed, and I'm laying in bed and I go, I'm going to stiffen like a board. And so I just, everything, right? And I hold it for 3 to 5 seconds and I go, I'm letting go what my mind can't process. I'm letting go of what my body needs to let go of, but my mind can't process. I am so much more at peace. And the thing is, Vince, these aren't complicated, complex things.
Right.
It doesn't need to be sophisticated. It needs to work for you.
I love what you just said there. It needs to work for you. It's not a one size fits all, right? We're giving you a few more tools to your tool chest. And again, we're going to find out how to work with Tommy, how to again touch it there in just a few minutes. But Tommy, I think the work that you're doing for emotional intelligence, again, is just so inspirational because you have not given up on finding everything you need to. You're a true pillar of work ethic and dedication. What is your favorite part about being in the space that you're in?
What a lovely question. It's like you, Vince. This is the path you grew up in, whether you chose it or not, right? You suffered a serious traumatic brain injury, not by choice, right? I was born with a hypothalamic dysfunction that caused my temperature control mechanism not to work. I almost died from high fevers over and over. It's not what I chose, it was given to me. And I think the arc of our storytelling, the arc of our lives, and whether it's mental health, emotional well being, or physical well being, is rewriting that story so that we're the hero of it. And I really dislike the word hero, but it's really coming to terms with what you've been given. And for me, emotional well being, this research and scouring every edge of it, right? Making sure I can see far and wide is really me wanting to be of service to the world so that no one has to experience what I did because it just wasn't nice. It wasn't kind. And I'm sure you probably feel the same way in your lane.
I love it. You're always trying to give back. Is there advice that you can give to someone who is young and in the shoes you were in? Something that you wish you had a voice telling you when you were a little girl?
This is going to sound really silly, but my father used to say this to me: all's well that ends well. And if you're not okay, it's not the ending, right?
I love
That
it.
you're probably in the middle of the story. And one of the things that they use in psychology to help with mental health is called narrative storytelling. And it's these four polar opposites. You have to move from a toxic story to a redemption story, right? And sometimes that takes time. When we're in the toxicity,
Yeah.
when we're in the ugliness of the moment, we just want to get out. We want to find the little piece of light. It might take years for us to understand the beauty and the lessons and the learning in it to get to the redemption piece of the arc. And that's why I say, if you're not okay, it's probably not the end. You haven't finished rewriting the story, right? Another facet of these polar opposites is episodic versus a full arc, right? And most of us think that we're in an episode that it is it. This is it. This piece is it. And what I taught my children growing up, I said, it's always your choice. It either defines you or you define it. And I prefer to define it. So let's give it a little space. Feel what you're feeling. Let's give it some space. And then let's see how this fits into the larger arc of our lives.
Tommy, what a beautiful answer, everyone. I know I am certainly involved in this as well, where such gravity in a situation, it's so profound, whether it's in your life and the economy and the world, whatever, and you take it as if this is not going to end, right? This is just it, right? Even like a breakup, for example, right? Just this big moment, losing a job, right? Oh, I'm down and out. But no, there are ways we can keep going, right? We have to remember to believe in ourselves and, of course, not forget our mental health, right? First step, of course, is listening to great podcasts like today,
Yes.
which are only possible because I get amazing guests who truly want to give back through their stories. There are different things like exercise, baths, right? She talked about that. I'm a big walker. I take a walk or two every day after long computer stretches. It's exercise, it's reading, things that work well for me. I leverage, right? Having conversations, right? An extrovert turned introvert like many entrepreneurs, but I need the social interaction. So I get that with my great
Yes.
podcast. And writing is what I credit to curing my brain injury, really, as far as my
Mhm.
memory. I just worked and worked and worked for that first book, Left for Dead, after going to grad school, and I started piecing things together. But that took 6 years. So the end is not right now. I love that. And Tommy, I think that you probably have something else to share. So I want to give you the floor. The floor is yours. I know we've got some great things we spoke about, but what else can we look forward to?
Well, first of all, I love your intuition that I have something else to say. As you were talking, what came up to me is I'm actually working on my next book called Where the Body Meets the Universe.
All
And
right.
it's where we become the most powerful versions of ourselves, tapping into all of our potential. And there's a very specific arc to doing that. And it's called Hurt, Harmonize, Help. I don't believe in mental health and emotional health that we heal. Physically, we heal. A cut mends. You get stitches, you take them out, the skin grows back together. But in mental health and emotional health, we can't ever heal what happened to us. We have to harmonize it into that arc of our story. And many of us, so we have to hurt, we have to feel it, we have to be in it, we have to just let it have its way with us. And then we have to harmonize, and that's integrating. And then we can go out and help. And what happens is, and I am as guilty of this as so many others, I've tried to help before I was harmonized, right? And when we do that, we may not be optimizing other people. We may be sitting in the hurt with them. And so for me, it's really important. And Vince, you, to me, are one of those people who've lived that arc and you're really helping from that harmonized place, not the hurt place. And I think for your listeners who are out there looking for someone to help them, find someone whose development is farther along than yours so that they can bring you along. And you may get past them and have to find someone else, and that's okay. That's the cadence. People come and people go. I don't want you to be my coaching client for 100 years or for 10 years. I tell coaching clients, here's the rhythm. We'll work together for 4 to 6 months, and then you got to go out and live it. Then when you find yourself stuck again, maybe you come back and we'll talk through that. And it's just this repeating cycle, but I don't want you to be here for 3 or 4 years. That doesn't serve either of us.
So well said again, like this entire episode. Everyone, she's up to great work. She's been dedicating through her book. Let's plug your podcast real quick as well. She's got another great offering for you that's free to tune in, another great mental health podcast. So, Tommy, tell us about it.
Sure. Thank you for that. On TommyBryan.com, it's my name, simple. There's an emotional health toolkit. One of the things that's available there is the Sacred Gut Punch podcast, which are stories of emotional resilience, of people rising from the ashes, like Vince, you've done in your life and like I've done in my life. There's also a list of other tools there. One of my favorite things is our whole family of assessments that will tell you exactly where you are on the emotional well-being arc. It actually uncovers your emotional shadow. It shows you the hidden forces that have been keeping you locked in place. So the Emotional Health Toolkit on TommyBryan.com is a wonderful place to start.
Well, thank you for sharing that, everyone. Be sure to head there and be sure to subscribe to stay current so you don't miss Tommy's next episode. Again, I've got you covered. I've put all of her other episodes in the show bio so you can follow her journey on a car ride on a nice afternoon today. You'll get to have all things Tommy. And again, my name is Vincent A. Lancy. I encourage you to please share this episode with someone who would find value in it and leave a review if you enjoyed it today. With that, we're signing off. Still in North Carolina?
Still North Carolina.
Yep, down the way to Florida. Great to see you, Tommy.
Yep. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I would love to hear your feedback. What did you love? What do you want to see more of? Are there any questions you would like me to ask the guests who come on the show? This show is not possible without you, the amazing listeners, so please email us at podcastsbylancy@gmail.com and let us know what you think. We'll also feature you on a later show. Please remember to subscribe to stay current with our amazing community of guests who will continue to come on the show, sprinkled in with solo episodes from me, Vincent A. Lancy. With that, I look forward to introducing more shows to you each and every week. And with that, we're signing off today. Enjoy the episodes and make it a great day ahead.